In today's episode, we have Terry Campbell from Live Oak Bank to discuss the top 5 things to consider in self-storage construction. I'm Jim Ross. He's Matt VanHorn, and this is 3 Mile Domination, where we talk about anything and everything regarding the world of self-storage. Hi everyone, this is Jim Ross, and this is episode number 22 of the 3 Mile Domination Show. And we're going to continue our vendor spotlight series here. And today's episode we have Terry Campbell from Live Oak Bank. What's going on, Terry?
Doing great. How about yourself, Jim?
Good.
Awesome.
Yeah. Okay. Congrats on the Inside Self Storage, the Best of Business Award. The
Thanks.
Best finance company. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks. We appreciate that. It was quite an honor to do that after our first full year in the industry.
So that's crazy. Yeah, that's for being the first year and that first push like that, and to get that award. That's congrats. It shows a lot of hustle on your guys' end. So that's awesome.
Thanks.
And you guys are based out of North Carolina, right?
Yes, Wilmington, North Carolina. We have one branch, but we cover all 50 states and U.S. territories.
Yeah, and so you get loans all throughout. So that's
Exactly, and anybody we work with, doesn't matter where they are, we go and visit them, see their location, whether it's ground up, we'll check out the site. If it's a conversion or an acquisition, we check out the building. So, some of my background of being in the building industry, especially if it's an acquisition, I can go and check things out with the borrower and make sure they're getting what they think they're getting, and they're not getting any surprises.
Oh, that's great. And so you guys are, specializing obviously in self-storage markets. That's wonderful.
Right.
Yeah. Sometimes you get some different lenders and all that, and they just treat everything the same. So if you can specialize in specifically self-storage, and like with your background in storage, that's even better.
Exactly. People love it when they call in and they get to talk with someone who speaks the language or knows the industry, especially having owned a facility before. They really like that because we can relate.
Oh yeah, you've been there, done that, and gone through the whole series. So that's perfect. Well, again, in this market, as you know, it's just been nuts. It seems like the last few years with construction and acquisitions and all sorts of things going on in the self-storage market. So I want to kind of have you on today and kind of shed some light a little bit on, just the things to consider, when it comes to self-storage construction. And especially from the lender's end, how they're evaluating the properties and what they're looking for. And obviously one of the first things on the top of the list is, where the site's going to be, the site selection. And that's obviously extremely important. And so I just want to kind of see what are you guys looking for when someone's bringing something to you as far as site selection. What's best, what's some good things to be looking for when it comes to picking a spot for storage.
Well, site selection is sort of evolved over the years. Years ago when it first sort of, in sort of the infancy of the industry, they were sort of tucked away and hidden back in industrial parks. Nobody wanted to see them, but they gradually started moving towards Main Street because you need visibility. You want folks to see them. You still want folks to see them, but there's not quite as much emphasis on trying to be on Main and Main as it was before. Now, you need to be close to your customer base. If you can get the visibility, you still want visibility. You still want to be easy to access. That's the thing. Convenience is a big deal. The site needs to be convenient to their location and easy to get in and out of. But more people now, they just pick up their phone and, where's the closest self-storage facility to me? And that's where they start. You still want to have that visibility if you can get it, but it's not quite as high on the top of the list as it used to be, being really, really on Main and Main. But you still want to have a good location, access to your customer base.
Yeah, I can attest to that. I think back about 20 years ago, I started in storage, and I was a manager on site. And I wish we had phones back then and GPS, because oh my gosh, I was called. Can't make this up. The site was called A1 Access, so it should be good access, right?
Right.
And you could see us off the freeway. Nice big thing. We had a big billboard. You could see us fine. Good luck trying to get to us.
Right.
Oh, you had to get off on these side roads and take the frontage road down here. And it was, people would call me like halfway. And they'd go to payphone or something like that, and like just start second guessing themselves because they couldn't find me. So I look back now, I was like, you don't know how good you had it now with the GPS. So that's a state. You have good visibility, but then again, right now, everyone's just going on their phone and just finding the nearest self-storage site and going to it.
Exactly. So A1 access got you first place in the phone book, though.
I think that's exactly what it is. Right below a storage. So yeah, that's a good old yellow page game.
It shows how much it's changed. Is that you wanted first place in that yellow pages now. You got to have good SEO.
Yep. Yeah, got to rank. Obviously, the next step is you find your location you like. You want to make sure it's feasible for a good location. So that's where the feasibility study comes in.
Exactly.
And obviously, you guys would require that when it comes to new construction because there's no track history to go off of and make your evaluations.
Exactly. So the feasibility study is such a vital, important part of new construction. I mean, if you're doing new construction, even folks who have experience in the industry that have done it before, having that third party that is not emotionally attached to it. You want an independent third party that's going to give you the truth. That's what you want. And it's so important because the information they're going to give you, is there enough market there? Sometimes it's not just, is there enough market there to support your project? It's just like recently, I really strongly suggested someone to get a feasibility study because I felt like they were underdeveloping their site. I felt like there was more market. And it turns out that I was correct, that when they got a feasibility study done, they found that they needed to double it. So they're going to do a 2-story project now instead of a single-story project, and they've got the market there. So it's not only things like that, it tells you where break even is, how much money you need to get to break even, how much cash you need, working capital. But that feasibility is so important. I've heard a lot of people over the years that would say things like, oh my gosh, it's $5,000 to $10,000. That's a lot of money. Well, it's an investment. I've seen people take that $5,000 to $10,000, and it kept them from spending $2 to $3 million.
Yep.
On a bad project. So It is definitely something that we will require, and anybody that's thinking about doing it really should do that.
Oh, exactly. And just curious, is this someone that you have like in-house that you do, or is this like a third party person you want that's totally non-biased that does it?
There's I've got several that we deal with. There's really a core of 2 or 3 that we recommend. It depends on where they're located. I mean, if different parts of the country, we'll give different names because a lot of times it's the cost of the study plus travel.
Yep.
So the closer they are to their site, theoretically, the less it should cost if they're closer. So we like to give them options. We don't want it to look like we're forcing them to take certain ones, but it has to be somebody we're familiar with and we know their work, and that we know they're going to give them an honest evaluation, and they're going to tell them like it is. Sometimes you got to say no. And you spend $5,000 to $10,000 on a study and you hear no, it hurts, but it's better than spending $2 million on the project and then find out later that it's not going to work.
Oh, I know. My brother does feasibilities for years, and he, I always remember the story. I was in the meeting. This guy he just fell in love with his property. I mean, he just knew it was going to be gangbusters. He just fell in love with it and had those blinders on. And it wasn't until he had the feasibility study done. And it was very apparent, and really in the first day of doing the research, it was a no-go. It was not going to work. The demand just was not there. And you would have thought we, killed his puppy in front of him. He was just crushed, and he just kept almost trying to talk us into, no, this is the property. This is going to work.
Right.
Long story short, he didn't listen. Built. And this is about 5 or 6 years ago, but he got caught up and he lost his property.
Wow.
So it's that's, again, I can just attest when it comes to the feasibility. You see that cost, that's a cost of doing business. You got to get into it and make sure exactly if it's going to work or not. I'd rather spend $5 to $10 grand than, like I said, lose millions of dollars,
Exactly. He was emotionally attached to that site, and that's what you can't afford to do.
Can't do it. So I guess once you get past, that next step there, of course, that's when the financing kind of comes into play. That's where you guys are bread and butter. So kind of give me like a 30,000 foot view of how the financing part works.
Well, with us, our main product that we have is SBA. We're the
Oh,
second largest SBA lender in the country.
really?
We're the only one that we're aware of that has a team that does nothing but self-storage, that has experience in self-storage. It's all we do.
Huh.
So, I mean, it's a great program. It's something that a lot of folks still aren't aware of. My purpose in life for the last almost year and a half is to be the evangelist for the self-storage industry with the SBA product, because it is a good product. When it first came out, and or when self-storage first became eligible in 2010, it was
Yeah.
October of 2010, that was at a point in time where no one could get money. It was like the bottom of the barrel as far as the amount of projects that were being built. Nothing was being built. And I
Yep.
tell you, as a building supplier back then, it was not fun because we couldn't sell anything. People were asking for quotes. We were doing quotes, but they just couldn't get the money. Now, when this announcement was made, everyone ran to the bank. Hey, I want some of this SBA money. How do I do this? And sort of what happened is the thing about SBA loans, every bank can do them. But most banks do not understand them because it's not something they do every day.
Sure.
This is something we do every day. In 2015, Live Oak Bank closed 999 SBA loans. We had 1,336 SBA loans approved. So it's all we do. We know how to do it. So sort of what happened back then is the SBA program got a black eye because banks didn't understand how to do it. People got a bad sort of a bad rap, or the SBA did. People just felt like this is not a good program because the banks didn't understand how to do it. You deal with a bank that understands how to do it.
Sure.
It's a great program because, I mean, you got great equity options as far as what you're able to put down, which is very attractive.
Okay.
The terms that we have, 25-year fully amortizing loan, no balloons, no financial covenants. They're just,
Really?
again, at a 30,000-foot level, you know, those are the attractive parts of the loan. It's a great program, and we've helped a lot of people already get into the business, and we look forward to helping a lot more with this program.
Yeah, that's great. Because again, I've heard that same thing. You know, years past, it kind of had a black cloud following the SBA loans, but just recently, in the last few years, I can think of four, just in my little environment here, of owners that have gone through the SBA process. And again, it does make total difference of if the bank is really aware and knows how to use those kind of loans and being familiar with the process. So
Exactly.
I can definitely attest if you guys are specializing in that, that's the way to go.
And a few years ago, actually, when I was still a building supplier, when any of my customers would say they're going to apply for an SBA loan, I would say, don't do it, because, you know, I heard nightmares. We had customers back then, as a building supplier, that were taking, one guy, it took 9 months, the other took 12 to get his SBA loan through. But that was just because the bank didn't understand the program, the process, and it's not what they do. If it's, you know, when you do something all day long, every day, you get good at it. I mean, our team does self-storage lending every day, all day long, so we're good at it. Our bank does SBA lending all day, every day, so we're good at it. It's just a great product, and it's a really good opportunity for a lot of. It's going to help folks, and it already is helping folks get into the business that couldn't otherwise.
Yeah, it's getting more flexibility that way. So that's perfect. Well, speaking of the team, I guess that kind of leads us to the next part. So once you get the financing and all that, now it's time to start doing the construction, and that's the all important, you know, construction team. And I'm sure we've all heard, you know, the horror stories of sometimes you get the wrong team in there that's not functional and not communicating correctly, and it seems like sometimes you can get behind the 8 ball before you even start, you know, a project.
You've got to have, that team is so important, and it's not just the construction team, it's the team from the very beginning. But, you know, once you've got the financing behind you and you've gotten approved, you know, your contractor is so important, and using a good contractor. I mean, you can do your own contracting if you're qualified, you know, if you are a real contractor and have a license and have the experience, then that works. We're okay with that. We'll work with that. We'll get you qualified. But that general contractor can make you or break you. I mean, if they don't know what they're doing, you know, if we see bids come in here from a contractor that has a 25% contingency, we know he doesn't know what he's doing because he's padding the heck out of it.
Yep.
You can tell by looking. That contractor's got to be experienced. He's got to, he can't be spread too thin. He's got to be able to pay attention to your project, and he's got to be financially in good shape because you don't want to be put in a position where your quote has been underbid and you end up with a loan that's not big enough to cover it. And luckily, again, working with a team like Live Oak, because we know the industry, we know the business, we know what these things should cost. If it's not in that window of cost where we think it should be, we really start throwing up the flags and questioning it and requiring proof of, why is it only this much or why is it so much? That's just another thing we bring to the table. But that is so important to have that team.
You got to have those checks and balances to make sure everything's correct. I being in the management end for self-storage for a number of years now, I've seen lots of projects from beginning to end and seen how they're going. There's been some great contractors. I'm not going to name names, and at the same time, I won't name all the guilty ones that have been bad either. But it's just been sometimes you see some of those contractors that come in and you just know off the very beginning this isn't going to turn out. It isn't going to turn out very well.
Right.
I just recently I was driving to Vegas last weekend, and it brought back a memory of I had a site. I was going to go to a meeting in Vegas to meet these owners. Again, I won't say names to protect the innocent or guilty, however you want to say it. And get to the meeting, and they're like, "Oh yeah, we're gonna be opening up here in about 3 or 4 months. That's why we brought you guys in to get the management going and the marketing." I'm like, "So this is the address, right, that you gave me?" Like, "Yeah." I'm like, "Well, I drove there on the way to our meeting. Do you want to see what it looks like?" So I was taking pictures and video. I showed them, and they just had a heart attack at the conference table because this contractor was just feeding them lines and getting the money, and all was there was just materials. It was just like stacks of just materials. Nothing was being built, just crooked. So again, you do your homework. You make sure you have your checks and balances when it comes to the team. And as long as you're doing those two things, you should be fine. Of course, you're checking everyone's background and checking the recommendations and the referrals and their track history. That's what it boils down to, That's great. And then I guess after you got that, you got the place built, it's looking fine, you're all excited. Now it comes down time to having the correct and effective management team running the property.
Exactly.
And that comes down to, the manager, of course. That's and I always say that's the most underutilized factor of storage is the manager. You spend all these millions of dollars for a property, and you basically hand them the keys over to the manager saying, don't screw it up. This is a $1 million property.
And what's bad about that is you see people, and I'm sort of stealing this comment from a friend of mine, is you see people spend millions of dollars, just like you just said, on a facility, handing the keys over to someone you wouldn't trust with your car. You wouldn't give your car keys to this person. Yep. Why are you giving them the keys to your multi-million-dollar facility?
Yep.
You either got to manage it professionally, hire a good professional management company, or hire a good company that knows how to do a startup package that'll come in and train you and show you how to set the office up, set the software up, train you on how to use it, and be there to consult with you as you go along and as you grow. But the management all the rest is for naught. You can have the best location, the nicest building, the best work, and if you don't manage it properly, it's all wasted.
Oh yeah, I see that time and time again. It could be the best location, you got everything working for you, but the owner would be like, it's not working. I don't understand what's going on, and it comes down to how is it being managed. And sometimes I have to change the managers and all that, and all of a sudden, ooh, voila, you wave a magic wand, and everything's working well because it's being managed properly.
Exactly.
And a lot of that, like I said, professional management, third-party management. Owners don't want to have to deal with the day-to-day operations.
Right.
That's where a third-party management company comes in. That's what like a lot of Live Oak does with financing. That's what third-party manager does. Is they specialize in managing self-storage properties and making sure it's done right and effective. I'm just curious myself, do you ever, as far as like the loan process, make it contingent that a property does have a manager company managing the site, or is that kind of
we don't
owner's
make
choice.
we don't make it contingent that they have to have a third party management. We do make it contingent that if they don't, that they do go through some sort of third party course where,
Okay.
like I said, you do a startup package.
Yeah.
But I'd say minimum at least 50% of everyone that we do loans for do have third party managements, and most of those most all of the third party managements that are out there, they have to be SBA compliant. If we're doing an SBA loan, and everybody so far we've been able to make a few changes, and they were happy to do it, and it's working out fine. And just another comment about the management is we've financed a few acquisitions that were such good deals because the current management and ownership was doing such a poor job. It was so undermanaged. Really? There was so much money being left on the table, and there was so much upside. Yeah. We could come in and finance it, and these guys come in, take it over, and do the right things, and immediately start making money.
Yep.
I mean, you just did away with all your construction risk, your lease-up risk. You just come in and you tweak things, and you made it a little more perfect, like it should be.
Yep.
And those are great opportunities as well.
Proper management. It makes or breaks a facility. It's as simple as that.
Absolutely.
That's what it comes down to. Well, great. Again, thank you for taking the time. I know you're extremely busy, but you know, doing your thing. But thank you for taking the time to talk with me about construction. After people are listening to this, how do they reach out to you and contact you?
If they want to reach me, they can email me. It's terry.campbell. That's TERRY. Campbell, CAMPBELL at liveoakbank.com, or call me 910-202-6933, or just go to our website. You'll see my contact info on there. It's www.liveoakbank.com.
Sure. And you guys are lending in all 50 states, right?
All 50 states, and we'd love to take a look at anything. The worst thing you can do is not at least investigate what we can offer.
Yep, perfect. Well, good deal. All right, well, thank you again.
Absolutely. Thank you.
All right. You take care. We'll talk to you soon.
All right, Jim. Take care. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Go to 3miledomination.com/call to schedule your free 30-minute marketing tune-up call. I'll give you solid advice you can easily implement with or without us. Until next time.